Alright, what we're going to do now is to continue from where we stopped on the previous video. If you can recall, on the previous video, what we did was that we made the add sales dialog to be visible. So this was made visible, and I can run the application for you again for you to see how it was. So here we go. So I'm running the application, and you can see this is the main frame, the window of the main application, and then we had this add record button which we had added an event, and when I click on it, this add new sales record dialog box comes out. But the problem that we had was that we needed this dialog box to be centralized, not popping up of the top left corner of the screen, as you can see. So we wanted it to be a kind of centralized to the screen. So that's what we're going to do in this video. But apart from centralizing the screen, we would also like to add some events to these buttons that we have over here in the dialog boxes. The cancel button isn't working and the save button isn't working. So we'll have to add some events to the button so that they can, if a user clicks on them, they can be able to take action. Okay, so that's also part of what we're going to do in this video. Alright, to do that, we're going to have to write some code in the class that owns this JDialog, and the code that we're going to write is a code that we've written before some time ago, but I'm going to repeat it in this JDialogs, the Java add sales dialog.java is a JDialog. Okay, so this is the public class add sales dialog, and if you scroll down, you can see where we stopped. We just did this GUI design with NetBeans, and we had this. So we are going to write a function or a method. Sorry, I've been writing some JavaScript and PHP these days. I said function, but no, we call it method in Java. So we're going to write a method that will be called to centralize the window. So I'm going to declare the method right here. And the method's signature is going to be a private void a centralized window. Centralized window. So it's going to be a simple method. I'll simply call Windows setter dot centralized window. Okay, and then it will take as its argument, and NetBeans is smart enough, that's what I just wanted to do, to take as its argument this very window, which is this JDialog. Of course, you know that a JDialog is a window. So a Windows setter dot centralized window will take this as this an instance of this add sales dialog. Okay, when we invoke it. So in order for us to invoke it, for it to work, we're gonna have to call this centralized window right here in the constructor of the add sales dialog. Recall that in order for this add sales dialog to be initialized and made visible, we had to call it in the main frame here, and this is when you click on the add button, add record, this event took effect, add button action performed. You can recall that in the previous video. And then we instantiated the add sales dialog by instantiating this constructor, and then we made it to be visible. So here what we're going to do is that when the add sales dialog is being instantiated, then we're going to centralize, we're going to init the components of the add sales dialog, all the components that are visible here. We're going to initialize it, and then we centralize the window. It's important to know that you have to initialize the components before you think about centralizing the window, because by that time, if you do it the other way around by centralizing the window before initting the components, then the components were not there, even the window itself was not properly created, so you are not going to get the proper centralization, if you understand what I mean. Alright, and this centralized window method is simply calling Windows setter.centralized window. If you can recall, that method is over here in the Windows setter class, and we had this code dimension dim equals toolkit.getDefault toolkit to get the screen size and do all this calculation. Just go and watch the previous video. Why am I explaining this anyway again? Alright, so here we're gonna simply call this method. So that's just what we're gonna do. So we're gonna say see this dot central, this is a centralized window, and that is it. That's just how to centralize the window. Alright, so let's test it out. I'm gonna run this application one more time. Probably must have been running already. Okay, so it was already running, so we are gonna close this one and close the previous one that was already running, so that we don't have multiple instances, because that's bad. So now that we've closed it, we can run it again, and okay, so here it is, and yeah, if you click on the add record, you can see the dialog is now centralized. It's no longer aligned to the top left corner of the screen. It's now centralized to the middle of the screen. So that's how you centralize window or a JDialog or any window at all. Okay, so anytime you wish to centralize any window in any project that you're writing, simply follow the steps that I've taken to centralize this window. Okay, the next thing that we're going to do is to make the events of the window, the JDialog itself to work. Okay, like I said before, the buttons, the add, the save and the cancel buttons aren't working. I'm clicking them over again first so that you can recall. So all we're going to do is to add events to the button. So in order to add the event, we simply have to come over to the design view, which is what I did. If you can recall, you switch it over to design view over here, and then alright, let's start with the cancel button, because that one is pretty easy. So we're gonna add an event to the cancel button, so that when someone clicks on cancel, this dialog disappears. As if you change your mind, you don't want to add a new sales record, you can cancel the form. So in order to add that event, you simply double click on the button and it's going to create an event method for you. Here it is. See, that's how it is. I just double clicked on please cancel, and then it created this method for me. Also notice that this method is not editable, so if I try to, I was pressing the backspace keyboard to maybe make changes here. You can't make any changes on this method because this is auto-generated method. But what you can do is that, you can't make changes to the method signature. Okay, but what you can do is that you can make changes to the method body. That's what you want the cancel button action to perform. So here, what we're gonna simply do is, what we want to do is that when someone clicks on cancel, this JDialog should simply disappear. When they click on cancel, it just disappears. Okay, so let's go over here and write the code. So how do we do that? We can simply write if evt.getSource, if evt.getSource equals this dot cancel button, then what we're gonna do, we're gonna say this dot dispose. That's the method dispose. Okay, now the dispose method, let's bring up the documentation. Is inside java.aws.window. So it's a method of window, and it's inherited by JDialog, which our class at sales dialog is also a JDialog, and that means that we've inherited this method from window. So what does it do? It releases all of the native screen resources used by this window, its subcomponents and all of its own children. Okay, that is, the resources for these components will be destroyed. Any memory they consume will be returned to the OS, and they will be marked as undisplayable. So that's as simple as that. You can go ahead and read other details, but that's what it is in a nutshell. So when we call this method, it's gonna dispose this window. All right, so let's check it out. So I'm gonna run the application again. Okay, let me be sure that it's not running currently. I can check that from the output, so it's not currently running. So I can click on this run button to run it again, and here we go. Let's just wait for it. Here it is. So I click on the add record, and here's the pop-up. Then I click on cancel, and then it goes. So that's how to add an event, but that was pretty easy because we just wanted to cancel and dispose the dialog. So how about saving? What if we want to, save a record? So what we're gonna do, all right, now the plan is that when someone tries to enter a record to add a new sales, we need to get all this information like the invoice number, the description, the price, so the customer name, and then when you click on save, we gathered all that information, and then we write a database query, and then we insert it into the database, and then we should also let the user know that it has been inserted successfully, and then we finally also dispose this JDialog. So you can see that there are various steps, and that's the plan. That's how you write programs. You plan what you're going to do first, and then you think about it, or if possible you write them down, and then
it's 6 o'clock p.m.
and then you go ahead and then implement them. Okay, so so that's gonna be a long step, and it's gonna take much time in this video. So what I'm just going to demonstrate for you is that okay, another thing I want to avoid doing is, because I have not written some classes that are meant to represent a sales record. I've not written database query methods, so all that will take it should be done in another video. But what I'm simply going to demonstrate in this video is that when you click on this save button, it should simply tell you that the record has been inserted successfully, just to simulate another way of handling events. So I hope you understand what I'm saying. So I'm going to close this, and then I'm going to go over to the design view of the add sales dialog, and then I'm going to double click on the save button, and this is going to generate the save button action perform method for me. Like I said, you can edit this method. So I'm going to write what is going to happen here. It's going to be similar to what we had in the cancel button action perform. So I'll simply go ahead and just say evt.get source equals this dot save button. Notice that comparing evt.get source, that is the event source, to the save button, to be sure that the event source is coming from the button itself. So if that is true, then what we're gonna simply do is that I would like to introduce to you one way of making a beep, like the beep you've been hearing sometimes, like when I want to edit this method and I can't edit, and you can hear one beep in the speaker. So I want to demonstrate how to make that beep. So you okay, I just pasted that code. Let me just type it. So what you're gonna do is that you type toolkit. There's a class called toolkit from java.awt.toolkit. So I'm gonna import it. So you're gonna type toolkit, and then you're gonna say toolkit.get default toolkit.beep. Okay, so okay, that's an extra semicolon. Let me remove that. So you have to always pay attention to what you're typing to avoid writing multiple semicolons, because that's going to be a syntax error. Alright, so toolkit.get default toolkit.beep is going to make a beep sound to tell the user that something has happened, that he has done something, just kind of alert. And the next thing I want to do is to do a JOption pane to tell the user that the record has been inserted successfully. So we are all familiar with JOption pane, so I'm just going to type JOption pane, and if it hasn't been imported, then I have to import it from java.swing.JOption pane. Then I'm gonna say JOption pane.show message show message dialog, and show message dialog will take as its argument parent component and a message. There's another show message dialog that will take as its argument a parent component, a message title, and a message type. So I would like to use this one because this one is a little bit, you see the functionality when I'm done. Alright, so the show message dialog, the arguments that we're going to pass in is the parent component, the first one, and I'm going to say this, the parent component is this add sales dialog, and the next one is the message that we're going to pass. So the message is going to be your record was inserted successfully, and the next argument is the title of the option pane, which we're simply just going to say success. And the last argument is the type of message that you're going to display to the user. So I'm going to say option pane dot information message. So here we go. And then the next thing that we're going to do is to dispose these dialog. So we're going to say this and this ourselves dialog dot dispose. Okay, just like we did in the console. So after showing the user that the record has been inserted successfully with the option pane, once the user clicks the option pane and as in clicks kind of OK, there should be an OK button there, then this dialog should be disposed. Alright, so let's check. Okay, it's not running, so let's run it and test it and see. So I'm gonna run it, and here it comes. I'm gonna click on add record. Okay, the console is working. I click on add record, I click on save. It says you hear that beep, right? That's the beep I was talking about. So it made the beep, showed this dialog, your record was inserted successfully. I click on OK, and it disposed the option pane and as well as the dialog itself. So you can see that's how to handle events in a Java desktop application. So I'm gonna stop there for now, and that's it. The next video tutorial, all we're gonna do is that we're gonna handle database queries, so that when someone clicks on save, we can throw that information into the database using a database query. And we are also going to write a kind of bin for the sales record, because I like using the OOP way of handling database or JDBC programming. So that's it. I'll like you to take a look at our website for other tutorials, and I hope you found this informative, and thanks for viewing. So see you on the next video.